Eagles Entertainment.
Welcome, Eagles everywhere, to the Eagles Insider Podcast, presented by Lincoln Financial Group. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro at the NovaCare Complex. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. The Eagles are back in town. The Eagles are on the practice field. The Nick Sirianni era has begun. It was such a scene on Wednesday. It just felt normal. It felt great. Fans circling the field, the team getting right into it. 11 on 11 right away for Sirianni's Eagles. He wants to find out about this football team. Lots of changes, lots of unknowns. The Eagles coming off what many in the organization have called an embarrassing 2020 season, looking to get back to the top of the division, the conference, and then the NFL. So today we're going to kick off our training camp coverage here on the Eagles Insider Podcast, presented by Lincoln Financial Group, with a little pit stop here and there, just kind of checking in with some people. We're going to hear from Howie Roseman just as he talks about building the roster. I had a chance to talk to him on Wednesday after his press conference. We'll hear from Nick Sirianni from his press conference, catch up with the head coach. I also wanted to talk to Jalen Hurts, not about the football side of things, but about the jersey number change. He didn't have a ton to say about it, but you'll hear it in just a bit as he goes from number 2 to number 1. And we're going to bop around Devonta Smith, the rookie in his first real practice. Very quiet, very earnest, very serious about his craft. But let's begin the podcast with an exclusive interview with Eagles cornerback Steven Nelson. Now, over the weekend, the Eagles agreeing to terms with Nelson on a 1-year deal. He signed his contract. He stepped on the practice field in a starting role opposite Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox inside. This is all subject to change. But on day number 1, Steven Nelson walked off the practice field after running with the first team defense. And I got him before he went into the locker room, and we talked about him becoming a Philadelphia Eagle. So, kind of fun. You walk right in and you're taking reps with the ones. Describe what it's been like for you since the weekend.
Oh man, it's been a grind, man, to say the least. Flying in on what was it? My days all mixed up. Tuesday, coming in, having to go through the entire process, man. Just learn my way around, man, and then, doing a conditioning test, man, and then trying to cram the entire defense in, man. It was definitely a grind, man, but I'm definitely happy to be here and just, get to work.
So I don't think fans quite understand. They think, you're just a cornerback, you just go out and cover the guy across the line of scrimmage from you. What actually goes into learning a defense?
Man, a ton, man. You got to understand, everybody's position on the field, because that's what ultimately is going to, help you out of your position, without getting into the details, you got to be in great shape, you know what I mean? You got to be, not just great on the field, you have to be great in the classroom, man. So you got to put the hours in on both times. So, our day is pretty full, with no time to really do anything, you know what I mean? It's just like come in, get your work done, go home, and then it's time for bed and you're doing it again.
Why did you pick Philadelphia?
Man, for one, I want to say fan base has definitely helped a major part. And also just the opportunity here, man, new coaching staff, like a lot of what they do. Great guys on the team, just a great town, man, to say the least, man. So, it definitely played a major role, all those things.
I mean, Steven, you've accomplished a lot in the league. I mean, take me inside your brain. What was it like going through all that in Pittsburgh and the months that have been since then?
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. We kind of living in unprecedented times, man. COVID, and salary cap going backwards or whatnot. So there's a lot of unfortunate cap casualties, and I just happened to be one. It wasn't my play or anything like that. It's just it's just the business side of it. But to kind of sum it up, it was pretty stressful. Never been through that. I've been a 5-year starter in this league. And held my own. So it's just one of those things where I just had to be ready for my next opportunity.
So for Eagles fans who aren't quite familiar with you, what are they getting here in Philadelphia and Steven Nelson?
Somebody just going to put my head down and work, man, no matter what, no matter the outcome. I'm going to try to do whatever it takes to win.
And the defense, what are your early thoughts on what Jonathan's trying to run here?
Man, I like it, man. Not going to expose the secrets, man, but I like what's going on here. I like the philosophy behind it. I think it's going to pay off.
And do you have a relationship with Darius, with Slay already? And what are your thoughts on lining up with him?
Yeah, not to we kind of talked a little bit this off season, but prior we had no relations, but I always liked his game, and the respect was mutual, and ever since I came in, he's done a great job of just kind of showing me around and stuff like that, man. So it's gonna be awesome.
And then final one, how many personal belongings do you actually have in your possession right now? When you move, you don't bring a huge suitcase. You don't drive down with your whole life, do you?
2 suitcases, man. So I'm gonna be spending a lot of money in laundry, man. So that's pretty much what it is, man. I'm just all about the grind right now.
Thanks, Steven.
Thank you.
Signing Nelson, part of the Eagles' offseason strategy. They came into the offseason very tight against the salary cap. Of course, the trade of Carson Wentz to Indianapolis, accelerating that and squeezing that salary cap picture. So what have the Eagles done? They've signed a slew of veterans to 1-year deals. Low risk, high reward deals. Nelson is in that category. That is one of the topics that Eagles Executive Vice President of Football Operations General Manager Howie Roseman and I talked about following Wednesday's practice. Howie, the way you put this roster together, I find it really interesting with the low-risk signings, veteran players. Can you talk about that strategy and why, and what do you think you have here?
Well, I think that there's 2 groups of that. Some of them are guys who understood with where the cap situation was in the league, that they wanted to bet on themselves. They guys and take kind of an option to showcase their ability and go back on the market a year from now. And so we didn't want to be shut out of those guys, the guys who had this kind of chip on their shoulder and knew that they were better players than maybe because of the cap they were being showed in terms of money. And then I think the other part of it is just fits in the group and making sure that they kind of balance the skill set. Be 2-for-1s, Dave. And by that I mean, you get a guy like Joe Flacco who's won a Super Bowl, who understands this market. And also, last year, people forget, Joe had neck surgery, and so Joe's coming back and he's missing some time in training camp. He's coming off neck surgery. And he's a guy who's been Super Bowl MVP. He's got a Super Bowl ring, made a lot of money. And he could have just said, hey, I'm done playing. I'm good. I'm going to enjoy my family. But he not only has a passion for this game, but has a passion for this fan base, and wanted to be part of this. And so I think when you have situations like that where there are guys who have the desire and the determination to continue to play and still have a lot to give on and off the field, those were fits for us because we do have a lot of young players on this team as well.
Was that the strategy going in, though? I mean, you've always been so creative adding players, or did it just kind of fall that way that there were players like Steven Nelson, for example, who just kind of stayed on the market, Ryan Kerrigan, who stayed on the market until they became affordable?
Yeah, I think what we try to do, and I think, Jake Rosenberg, Bryce, Kat, they all deserve a tremendous amount of credit for doing this, is we constantly try to stay in touch and communication with agents about players and tell them, hey, we love it. We may not be in the best situation we've ever been from a cap perspective, but if it gets to a situation where, this would be of interest, we'd love the opportunity. And so I think that's what you try to do. You keep recruiting and you keep lobbying and talking about your place and the opportunity that you have and hope that, you're in the ballgame.
When you look at your depth chart in your fancy office here at the NovaCare Complex, what do you see?
Not so fancy. But I think what we see is that we have a lot of competition, and I think that at the end of the day, it starts with the O-line and the D-line, and really excited about those 2 groups and feel like, they give you a chance every year. And if you have really good depth and really good players at those 2 positions, that's really where it starts. And from there, really just looking forward to the opportunity to evaluate and make some really good decisions here in the next month.
Thoughts on last year's draft class as they take that step into year 2?
Yeah, expectations, that there's no longer that scholarship. There's no longer the excuse of COVID. There's no longer excuse of no off-season program. Our expectations is those guys are competing and finding roles, some bigger than others, and, contribute to this football team.
All right, and then finally, Devonta, Landon, and Milton, 3 players who the Eagles really, really bullish on. Do you have projections for them as rookies?
I think that you always are a little bit leery of making projections on rookies, right? We've seen outstanding Hall of Fame caliber players who don't have the same numbers as a rookie year as they do going forward. But, we drafted those guys, one, because we felt like they were really good players, and two, also because we knew that they would add to the culture and that they would give us 2-for-1s, where they would not only be good players, but they would push the other guys in their room. And so, I think that they're all each individual, but because they all have different rooms, and I think that we're not going to baby or try to redshirt anyone, and we hope they're all contributing, and it's going to be a long season, Dave. So we're going to need all these guys that are on our roster.
Yeah, what does 17 games mean to you? Does it change the dynamic of how you build a roster, how you build a practice squad?
Well, I think what you have to be sure of is that you have incredible depth, because that with what goes on, and you saw it last year with soft tissue injuries in the league, guys are going to miss a game or two, and that could be the decisive factor in you winning the division or missing out on the playoffs. And so you don't want to be in a situation over 17 weeks or 18 weeks really over the course of the season that you feel like you don't have enough depth to withstand it. And we've seen that firsthand. And really, when you go back and you look at the disappointing seasons we've had in the last 20 years, which, thank gosh hasn't been a lot of them, they've all been because we've ended up playing guys that, really we hadn't anticipated playing. And so our job is to try to get as many players that we think are good as possible, especially at the key positions, and then roll from there.
Thanks, Howie.
Thanks, Dave.
Something fun here. Jalen Hurts goes out there. He's getting the number 1 reps at the quarterback position. And while the Eagles have said the competition is open and they haven't committed to Hurts, Sirianni also said that Hurts has earned the opportunity to take those first-team reps at this point. Joe Flacco's in the quarterback room. Nick Mullins in the quarterback room. Anything can happen, right? But right now, it's Hurts. And so he's proceeding in a very mature, matter-of-fact way. But it was just interesting to me. I've wanted to get with him for so long about the jersey number change. He wanted to be number 1 as a rookie. That number wasn't available, so he was number 2. Now he's back to being number 1. It's a bit of a process. And while Hurts was kind of tight-lipped on it, it's between us all, right? Me and him, you, a little exclusive here. Jalen Hurts talking about changing from jersey number 2 to jersey number 1. You changed your jersey number, and I wanted to get into the mechanics of it because it's fun for fans. First of all, why did you do it?
I wanted to change my number. Well, I wanted to come in and I wanted number 1 when I got drafted by the Eagles, but it wasn't available. So I said, hey, G, our equipment guy, said, if it ever comes available, that number 1, I wanted to have my name on it. It came available sooner than I thought it would, so we just took advantage of it.
How does it feel wearing number 1?
I feel good. It's the number I wanted coming into the league, so I'm able to wear it now.
Will you have in your man cave someday framed number 2 jersey, Philadelphia Eagles?
I'm sure I will. Hopefully it's worth something one day.
But was the process anything other than for you just asking for a numbers change?
Yeah.
Was it a difficult process?
No, it wasn't.
Was it a rewarding process for you?
I kind of knew I was going to get it whenever it came available. It came available, and we got it done,
Devonta Smith, the Eagles' first-round draft pick, has high expectations, of course. He's the Heisman Trophy winner from the University of Alabama. Nobody could stop him in college. We'll see what happens in the NFL. So he had a press conference on Wednesday. Didn't say a whole lot, but he did say he's excited to be an Eagle. He's excited for the challenge, and he's looking ahead as the Eagles, perhaps feature him in the offense in 2021.
Coming out here, just getting back into it. Feel like individually I could have did a little better on some things, but first day, just getting back into it, just get my mojo back. Just anybody that I can get any little detail from. Just coming off the field, I asked Slade what he's seen from me today, things like that. He told me what he's seen. So just any little piece of advice I can get from anybody, I'm going to accept it.
As for Sirianni, he met the media alongside Roseman. No disguising his excitement, his intent. This is a football team that is in the process of reaching 90% vaccination. That is an extremely encouraging rate. And Sirianni comes in and he wants to put the pressure on the players right away. He wants to hold them accountable. And he wants to take this in a very step-by-step process. 5-point plan. Remember that 5-point plan. It all starts with a connection, and then competition, and then accountability, and then a high football IQ, and then fundamentals. All of that is part of the Nick Sirianni way. He met the media on Wednesday, and we hear some of the highlights of his first press conference after his first training camp practice.
Well, right now, where Jalen's in with the ones, and he's working with the ones, and he's earned that because he's worked his butt off, and we're hoping that he takes the reins and rolls with it and continues to just get good reps with the ones.
Nick, in what areas do you want to see growth from Jalen, and are you working with his mechanics at all?
Hey, buddy. The growth where we want to see is just that acceleration in the offense, right? It's just getting better and more reps at the offense. This is the first time we've had 11-on-11 team period, right? So these are some of the first times he's run these plays. Now, maybe he's run a version of these plays, but there's some plays that he's never run before. So it's that we can't get enough of that, whether that's in the film room, whether that's on the field. He's just got to continue to take these reps. And I'm so confident in Jalen. He's a gym rat. He's just thinking about football all the time. That's what I love about him. And so he's going to use those mental reps, that's for sure. We just got to get him more reps out here on the field.
Are there things with his mechanics that adjust?
I don't mess a lot with a quarterback's. There's a couple things I talk about with quarterback finish, right? And it's just about finish. But the way they throw it, the way they're going to keep throwing it that way. It takes a long time before you can switch anything there. And I don't perceive him to have any issues up top. What we do with a quarterback is work at their feet. How do their feet correlate with the play? Right? This is the drop with the play. The drop will tell you when the ball should be out as you read the defense. So we're as far as fundamentals with his feet, we're obsessed with it, and that's what we're doing.
And that will do it for this episode of the Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. Make sure you're with us every step of the way. We have a lot more coming as the Eagles get ready for a busy, busy summer. 2 public practices, August 8th, August 22nd at Lincoln Financial Field. Please come. Get your own up-close and personal look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Tickets are $10. All proceeds going to Eagles Autism Foundation. Make sure you get them at PhiladelphiaEagles.com. Eagles also have 2 joint practices against the Patriots and the Jets. 3 preseason games, and don't forget that long week, extra week, between the final preseason game against the Jets and the regular season opener in Atlanta. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Eagles Insider Podcast presented by Lincoln Financial Group. Thanks to Peter Kelly and Ray Doyle for their work here. Thanks to all of you for joining us each and every episode. If you have a chance to give us a review, and those 5 stars certainly help, make sure to click on the link in the details section of your podcast library. I'm Eagles Insider Dave Spadaro. Thanks again, everyone. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and as always, fly, Eagles, fly.